put this quote in the beginning. I really like. I started reading this book, and this quote struck me. I always thought it's my personal kind of feature to think more about failures than successes. But after reading this quote, I realized that the product managers are probably have something in common. By the way, do we have any kind of on the product management side, product owner, product management? Okay, great, not that big, or some presence, yes. For the rest, I think it will be useful to just to understand like why this kind of strange guy comes to you and asks, or strange girl comes to you and asks you some stupid questions always. So I hope this presentation will help you understand a bit of thinking of product managers. So product management, here is a simple explanation, and actually it started with the following thing. Did you recently go to job interviews? Any of you? Did you got the question, why do you want this role? Did you actually reply, I need a paycheck? No? It's actually strange, it's not a valid answer. I think it's absolutely valid answer. But I was replying in the beginning that for me it's really interesting position. This is why I want this position. This position is being a translator or being the bridge between the technical people and the business people. I have a technical background. I used to be a software engineer for quite a while. Then I went to business school, got business education, and I can understand what business people are talking about. So I can try to bridge those two worlds together. It's actually still valid explanation. I still think it's true, but now I realize as any model, it's really simplification of real life, and I will tell you why. Suppose you have a development team in your organization, then you got design team, and it's product manager's responsibility to make them talk together. Then you got architects. It can be enterprise architects. I have no idea what does it mean, but it sounds funny. It can be software architects, solution architects. They are sometimes together with developers, sometimes a separate team. And they should be talking to development as well and to design and vice versa. Then project management, sales, marketing, account managers. They have to all talk to each other. And it's up to the product management to ensure that this information actually flows. In some cases, it flows by itself. It's quite natural for developers to talk to architecture guys. I don't see any problems there. There is another actually problem that when they talk, they make a decision. And you should be aware of this decision. It doesn't mean that you should block them from talking. It just means that you have to somehow be there. Or other people like marketing talking to development, it rarely happens. And it's up to the product management to make this dialogue, or at least the information flow. Sometimes it's not a direct information flow. Sometimes, let's say, development needs to talk to project management, and then this information should go to the account managers. And everything about product managers making this happen. It's like, I don't know, if you think about epic, or some epic story, not epic in the safe way, safe methodology way, but some big literature book, it's probably like gathering the teams of, I don't know, elves, humans, dwarves, well, not probably orcs, and making them do something together. So it's like being a Gandalf. And let's talk about some real stuff. So let's talk about Jenny. Jenny is young, passionate, enthusiastic product manager. As I told, she needs to communicate with people. She needs to identify the key stakeholders. Some of those stakeholders were in the previous picture. Can you suggest any other stakeholders?
Management.
Yeah, that's a great one. The top management, the guys on top of the company. That's great. Any other? Who? The team. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. The team, it's usually the product team, what they call. It can be developers, but yeah, she definitely needs to talk to them. Who else? Lawyers. That's actually, yes, actually interesting one. I didn't think about it, but this is absolutely true. I think Natalia was talking about the regulations and legislations in the industry, and there they definitely would need to talk to lawyers.
Customer service?
Customer service. That's true. That's the kind of close to operational team, and you need to understand what's going on with the product. But anything else? What's about customers? And actually, in B2B world, it's becomes a bit more painful because it's quite hard to define customer. In B2B world, it's not like in B2C, at least, sorry. At least that's what I'm thinking. I actually never worked in B2C, I realized. In B2B, the big issue, big challenge is that when you sell your product to a person, it's another person who uses it. So one person, you need to pursue one person to pay for it, another person to use it. So take to the stakeholders. I just briefly give you several examples what is critical. Keep your management updated. And what happens? Let's say, it's probably too low, but let's say there is a Michael. Michael is, I don't know, head of executive or corporate sales, whatever. He's somewhere in the top VP, whatever. And at some point he bumps into Jenny in the corridor room and asks, Jenny, we need some bestseller. We need a kind of big, nice product I can talk about. Do you have anything? Jenny tells, yes, I do. We came up with this beautiful concept. We are developing it. It's this car. Do you like it? Michael tells, yes, it's a wonderful concept. Please give me a presentation, give me whatever you have. I will go and I will upload on my phone. I will show it to my friends and when I will be golfing. I'm ready to go to some conferences and show that. So Michael's happy. Michael's is going away. Jenny starts to develop the product further. She starts talking with the engineering team, and the engineering team tells, you know what? These kind of fancy-looking doors, they're really nice, but the problem is that the mechanics is really, really complex, and if we start doing that, it will be like Bentley. By price tag, we'll reach the Bentley price tag. Can you make them just going up? Well, Jenny thinks that, okay, up is okay. It looks nice, almost as good as this one. Let's do that. And then she faces another team, and the team says, you know what, this kind of front looks very nice, very beautiful, but there are some regulations in Europe that protects pedestrians. You need to make it smaller. Well, Jenny thinks like, well, it's regulation. I cannot do anything about that. So we make it smaller. Then they run user tests, and users tell that, okay, those like upwards going doors are really beautiful, but you know when it's raining, they start dropping water and it becomes messy. And Jenny thinks that, okay, that's true, but I mean, those doors are nice, but it's what users want. They just want a regular doors. So what happens next? 9 months later, 1 year later, Michael bumps into Jenny again and asks, Jenny, what's this prototype you were showing me a year ago? What's the status there? Oh, we're releasing it in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm really excited. Can you show me it? Yes, here it is. Do you know what happens with Michael? I can show you. So this is what you will see on Michael's face. And it's really bad if Michael in your direct chain of command. It can be really bad even if he's not. So, and it's not only bad for you, for your career, it's also bad for the people you were working with, the designers, the engineers. So it's really important for you to keep Michael updated about the progress, especially if you saw that he's taken the prototype really seriously. Actually, I think Matthias on the previous presentation mentioned about prototype and showing the nice prototypes with to the product owners. But with the product owner, it's okay because product owner is quite close to the team. Then asking why from your customer. It also was mentioned somewhere in the previous presentations, and I just kind of trying to elaborate. So let's introduce another person, Saul. Saul is actually, I don't know, the purchasing director on one of the customers of Jenny's company. And she comes to Jenny and tells like, okay, Jenny, we signed a deal, you deliver us the product, and actually what we need this trailer, which is basically half of the car, but it's trailer. Well, if you don't start asking questions, I don't know, like you may end up building this trailer, but what's the point? So it makes sense to start you asking questions. There is a rule of 5 whys. It's kind of sounds stupid, but you should keep asking question why at least 5 times to get to from the requirement to need. Why do you need this trailer? Well, because we would like to have 2 additional seats, but we don't want it always be there. Why it's so? Well, we are targeting the family segment with parents with 2 kids and or 3 kids, and when sometimes the grandparents come, they just want to hitch the ride on the same car. Okay, and you keep asking, and you realize they don't need this trailer. What they need, they need just regular 7-seater. And probably Saul was just not aware that this option exists. So keep asking, keep trying to understand not the customer requirements, but the customer needs. Unfortunately, in B2B context, it's sometimes quite hard because of the way the purchase works in B2B world. It's usually they roll out RFP when you have just kind of compliance checklist. So how do you deal with that? It's really tricky question, and this is something to discuss between the product team, the management, and the sales team. Talk to your end user. This is, I mentioned before, when one person pays, the another uses. If, let's say, if Jenny was building a truck for the post delivery, and let's say David is postman, will be using this truck. There is one trick with the post trucks. Have you ever noticed anything special about them? Sometimes, well, let's say in Finland, they use the trucks which have the steering wheels on the wrong side, on the right side. It's just because that it's either easier for the postman to go out, or he cannot to leave the car. He just lowers the window and pushes the envelope into the post box if it's available. So Jenny needs to talk to the end user and to understand how he works, what he does. She may need actually to go with David together and see what David does. Otherwise, you may end up in this situation. Meaning your users will be using some other tools to perform their tasks. Some additional tips or thoughts or whatever you would call them. I really hate to say it, but matrix organization can actually help in the spreading the information. It can screw your organization in many other different ways, but regarding the spreading the information, I wouldn't say it will help. It may help. It depends on the, again, people you will have in places as line managers and product teams. Do you know what's the matrix organization is about? It's basically when you have a line organization, like you have a team of developers, team of designers, team of testers, team of product managers, and then you start picking person and assigning them to so-called virtual teams or horizontals, and tell that, okay, from now, like next 6 months, you work on this product with this team. So you just basically picking up the team. The idea is that the information spreads not only within the line organization, but also along the horizontal. So there are a bit more ways to spread the information. But to make it actually work, you basically need line managers to take the responsibility of making people talk or sharing the information, and whoever leads the products to do the same. As I told, it can screw you in other ways. There is also a good way of thinking. Well, I wouldn't call it framework, actually. It's more list. I shouldn't use the word framework here. RACI. When you think about any task, you should think about people who are responsible for this task, who will be doing this task, who is accountable this task, for this task, who basically will suffer when it fails, who should be consulted. That means that you should go and ask for advice from those people and tell them what you are doing, and who should be informed, to which people you are just pushing the information. Sounds stupid, but this actually helps you to structure your understanding of the communication, both within your company and outside. And then, in the end, I would say that everything about information exchange is actually a fine balancing act. People say that there is never too much information, but quite often same people tell you that please don't tell this information. It makes your team to worry too much beforehand. So there is a kind of question of balance, sharing the information or protecting your team from the organizational chaos, for example. How not to block your team by constantly pushing some information to them, how not to spend all of your time in different information sessions, meetings, whatever. Well, how to limit the amount of people invited to some specific discussions. Sometimes I kind of invite one person, she or he invites another, and it grows like a snowball, and kind of I get scared. But in the end, it's quite useful. And actually, the kind of $5 million question: are there good alternatives to face-to-face communication? Actually, don't. Actually, Rory, I think you were talking about getting people in the same room. So this is, I think, that means that there is no kind of good replacement for face-to-face communication. Actually, if you know about SAFe methodology, it's Scaled Agile framework. It's basically being agile in the enterprise setting. They also tell that at least once every 2 months, you should get everyone into the same room. So I still believe that whatever tools you can have Slack, you can have HipChat, you can have Microsoft Teams, whatever. This will not replace face-to-face discussions. Even if you have some video tools, they are not replacing face-to-face discussions. So you need to have a room for your team, for people you need to talk about. You need to have the whiteboard ready. You need to have those notes, sticky notes ready. And this way, you can start sharing ideas, spreading the information. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Thank you.